Our next topic is the sacred center. So we will start with the first part of it, that is choosing a capital. But this topic has got two questions. First question is that why Vijayanagar was selected as the capital of the empire. Another question that comes from this same topic is the significance of temple building in sacred center of Vijayanagar. Means here we are to study two different things. First of all, like why Vijayanagar was selected as a capital, and the second one is that why the temples of sacred center are very significant. So let's see the first question, like choosing the capital. We came to know that the northern side of Vijayanagar city is a rocky on the bank of Tungabhadra. According to the local traditions, these hills, that means because it is rocky, the hills defended the kingdom from Bali and Sugriva. Now these are the names of the monkey kingdom, now which was described in the Ramayana. Now because of these rocky mountains, the Bali kingdom or the Sugriva kingdom could not come and attack the Vijayanagara Empire. Other tradition also proposed that Pampadevi, she is the local mother goddess, completed her punishment in these hills just to marry Virupaksha. And this was a guardian deity of the kingdom and assumed as a form of Shiva. Now we are talking about Virupaksha. Now the choice and selection of Vijayanagar as a capital was motivated by the religious existence of temples of Virupaksha and Pampadevi. Now in short, we can say that it was selected or it was chosen as the area or the capital because of the presence of temples of Virupaksha and Pampadevi. Now the kingdom claimed to rule on the basis of god Virupaksha. All the royal orders were in Kannada script and signed like Shri Virupaksha. Now as you scroll down, you will see all these things written there. Now Shri Virupaksha. And kings, what do they do is that kings along with the Nayakas visited these temples whenever there are some imperialistic festivals were celebrated. So that is why this area was selected or chose as the capital of the empire. Now the next question or next topic for your question, that is the significance of the temple building. Now I can divide this into three parts. So all this paragraph has got it. So what you can do is you can just compile this together. I may not scroll as I explain it, but it will be a part of the same area only. So first point is that temple building in this region had a long history which goes back to dynasties like Chalukyas, Pallavas, Cholas and Hoysalas. Now rulers generally encouraged temple buildings to associate themselves with the divine, right? Now often the deity was implicitly or explicitly indefinite with the king. Temples also function as the centers of learning. Now rulers often granted land or religious culture and economic centers for rulers. Then constructions, repairs, maintenance of temples was important means of winning support and recognition for their power, wealth and piety. Now it was quite possible that the choice of Vijayanagar site was encouraged by the existence of, as we have just said, the shrines of Virupaksha and Pampadevi. In fact, the Vijayanagar claimed to rule on behalf of the god Virupaksha. That is why the significance of temples, means the sacred centers, has got much significant, right? Now many new elements were innovated in temple building. These included making of large structures, and these structures were symbols of royal authority. Now as I told you, or as I said, significance of the temple building in the sacred centers. Now these three points have to be there in your answer. So in short, once again I'll just say, first of all, it has adopted different types of elements and also innovated new methods of temple buildings. Second one is that they claim to rule the kingdom on behalf or as a demand from god of Virupaksha. Then they also selected this area as a kingdom or as a capital of the kingdom because it has got temples of Virupaksha and Pampadevi. And most important is that whatever construction which is there, it is not whatever buildings that they found, it is not the building which is made at present. There is a history of dynasties like Chalukyas, Pallavas, Cholas, Hoysalas. They already have constructed buildings, and because of that, the temple building is very significant in the sacred center. So these are the two questions that comes from this topic, choosing a capital. Our next topic is Gopurams and Mandapas. So for this, once again, a short question that comes is what you have to construct on your own is that write what do you know about Gopurams and Mandapas. So it's a answer of around 3 to 8 marks, but it may come like what are Gopurams, what are Mandapas, so you have to write it accordingly as it is asked. But anyways, let us discuss what are these Gopurams and Mandapas. Now, new features were clear in the temple architecture. These were made in a great numbers. When we talk about this, means we are talking about the Gopurams, right? Now, as you look in the picture itself here, when you look at this picture, you will find the tall structure. These are Gopurams, and this became, a part of their structure, means a part of their empire. Okay, they always start to think like, if we construct this will always stand tall, and it will be one of the most explicit part from the empire side to the people, or to show that we are very powerful. So every king has done something or the other so that they can tell people that they are very strong, they have wealth, they have manpower, so all these things. So now here we are talking with the Gopurams. So it is a new feature. Now these were made in great numbers everywhere. Wherever this Vijayanagara Empire extend, they started making Gopurams of different styles, different heights. All these were the symbols of imperial authority. The royal Gopurams and royal gateways are of good examples. Means whenever people talk about Gopurams, means they are always so good that others which stand in front of them, they look like nothing. They look so small. They look like things which are very a minor one in front of this Gopuram. So that is what the royal Gopurams and royal gateways were good examples, and they dwarf the other things whichever stand in front of them. Kings were in commanding positions to have direct control over resources, techniques and skills that were needed to construct mandapas and pavilions. Now such type of things were always controlled by the king, so that whatever is constructed, it have to be very beautiful one. That is why they took the charge of controlling resources, techniques and skills. Now another example can be from the Virupaksha temple, which was built over the centuries. Inscriptions propose that the earliest temple was dated to 9th to 10th century. That means we are talking about the construction of Virupaksha. It was not finished within a year. It took time. Now it was enlarged. First of all, it was very small, and slowly it was enlarged. Now it was enlarged at a greater level after the establishment of the Vijayanagara Empire. Now Krishna-Devaraya built the hall in front of the main temple. Now as you can see, this construction was not from one era only. It was continued from different dynasties. So here also you can see, after the coming of Vijayanagara Empire, what Krishna-Deva Raya do is that he started constructing a beautiful hall in front of the main temple to mark his attainment of throne. It was decorated with tenderly carved pillars. Now just to tell people that we are so good in all these things, he had inscribed something in a pillar, and whatever it is there, it was of great skill. He is also credited with different other things like construction of the Gopurams. Okay, now this is the Gopuram to the eastern side. Now this addition meant that central shrine came to occupy a very important part, which was quite complex one way. Now what is said is that it had done so much of work that it has got a different kind of honor, different kind of things for different construction. Whatever they constructed, it is just to show some kind of honor to whatever was present there. As in case Eastern Gopuram we are talking about now, this was constructed just to honor, okay, just to honor that yes, we were here long time back, and now in order to prove that we were here, let us make one Eastern Gopuram. And it came up, and it was one of the central shrine, okay, which occupy a very complex part of the life. Then another thing is that the hall of the temple was used for several purposes. Now he had constructed a hall before there was Gopuram, then he made a hall. Now this hall was used for different things, like what? Music, dance, means different type of programs was conducted here, drama, and then other halls were also used for different purpose, like marriages of deities and other things. And then we have different types of festivals among Hindus. So they celebrate these festivals in all these halls or whatever area which was constructed under them. Then special images were also kept in these areas, and then so that people can come and pray in this part on that occasion. Okay, when I talk about special pictures, means every little part of our festival has got different images, like killing of a demon. So killing of a demon, it is inscribed in one of the image of goddess Durga. So it was shown. Now they celebrate it as Durga Puja. Now goddess Kali. Now why she became goddess Kali? It has got some reason. So in that way, they had these special images, and all these are kept in the central shrine so that people can come and pray on that basis, and then on that particular occasion. Then another temple that come up here is a Vithala temple. Now when you talk about the Vithala temple, it's a shrine once again, and now you can see shrine means a temple only. Vithala temple. Now what is this? The main deity was Vithala. And who is this Vithala? It is the incarnation of goddess Vishnu, usually which was worshipped or which is worshipped in Maharashtra. The main feature of the temple complexes is the chariot streets, which were spread from the temple Gopuram in the straight line. Now when you look at the image which is given in the book, so let's see out here, I'm scrolling it up again. So this one, so as you can see this, it is a temple, but it is in the form of a chariot. So you can see wheels are there. So now what does it say is that this chariot basically tells that there was a straight temple or straight line of temple, and these streets were made into slabs. All these were lined up together and supported a pavilion where the merchants set up their shops. Now why this Vitthal temple was made? Now this was a symbol that God travels from one place to another. Okay, God travels. Though it cannot be moved, it is just show that yes, God was there, and God has a chariot which moves from one place to another. So in order to keep this chariot moving, means in order to show that this chariot moves, they have constructed a straight line of road temples, or we can say the temple where roads are there which are straight and connecting each other from one Gopuram to another Gopuram. Though this chariot will not move, remember it's a stone carving, right? It is just to show that God moves from one Gopuram to another. And because the roads are quite straight, now the merchants, they find a very supported pavilions for setting up their markets or shops during the day of occasions, any occasions. If there is any kind of festival, they will come up and they just set up their shops out here so that they can go for some kind of business, right? So this is all about your Gopurams and Mandapas. Plotting palaces, temples and bazaars. This is our next topic. So for this topic, take a question: how the plotting of palaces, temples and bazaars was made possible. So here what we are going to study is about the plotting of palaces, temples and bazaars. Now in a short, I'll just tell you, like these days when you look at the GPS, we can see from high up, that means when you just open it, you will find that there are lots of areas, right? And from that area you can make out this is the school, that is the market, this is this is that. So now here we are talking about the plotting of palaces in that same pattern. But now the question is, how did they do it? Because during their time there were no drones, there were no planes which are flying above to capture all this, and then also they had plotted the palaces, temples and bazaar so accurately that people could visit this place with the help of any kind of map which is plotted during this time. So that is what we are going to study, how the plotting was made possible. Now to know about Vijayanagar, information was pieced together from travelers' accounts and inscriptions after the initial surveys of Mackenzie. Now that means when you talk about information, means what? Photographs, plans, elevations of structures and sculptures. Now what we are going to study is like photographs, plans, elevations of structures and sculptures. Now when you talk about photographs, now remember this was done long time back, okay? But while the plotting was done, there was no exact photographs, but something was there, that means hand-drawn pictures were there. Later on some people started to capture these photographs and they compiled this together to compare whether the photograph and the hand-drawn pictures of the maps were correct or not. That is what they said. Information was pieced together from travelers' account. Different travelers have got different accounts. So from that, after the initial surveys of Mackenzie, now Mackenzie was the first one who started the survey of Vijayanagar. Now this place came under protection of ASI, that is Archaeological Survey of India, and the Karnataka Department of Archaeological and Museums in 20th century. Hampi was then recognized as the site of national importance in 1976. So you have to remember these dates for your short notes, that means 1 mark questions. Then later on what happened, an important project was launched in 1980s to document the material remains at Vijayanagar by using a number of recording techniques. During the period of over 20 years, dozens of scholars from all over the world worked to compile and preserve the information. Whatever was there for Vijayanagar, whatever was found for Vijayanagar was compiled together by different scholars so that the information could be brought out and it can be preserved. Now how they map this, or how the map was made, okay, or how do they work on it? So now here on your book you can see a picture given there. So first of all, the first picture, so you can see this grids out here. The exercise of making map is a small part of the large process. During its first step, that means this one, what you can see in your picture out here, the whole area was divided into 25 squares. Now you can see there are 25 squares, so they have divided into 25 squares. After dividing it into 25 squares, now what did they do is every square was designated by an alphabet. Now as there are 25 squares, now after that they are designated, means one alphabet was given. Then these small squares were further divided into set of even smaller square. Now let us talk about any square from here. So in your book I think they have taken n, so you can see n. So we are talking about this n which is in the middle. Now the square n was taken once again into, and it was broken into another different square. So it was once again around 25 squares were made. So NA, NB, NC, as you can see. So this is the division of a square into further smaller squares. Then these small squares were further divided into set of even smaller squares, but it was not enough, as small squares were further subdivided into another set of units, smaller units. Now whatever it is there, NA, NB, from this they will take one more square, that is here you can see NM. So we are talking about NM. Just look at the page here, you can see NM somewhere here. So they have taken this NM and they had further divided it into small pieces. So this is how they studied about the map, or they have created the map. It was a very hectic job. Now these detailed studies or surveys were done with the great hard work. So these surveys have recovered the traces of thousands of structures, including tiny shrines, residences and elaborate temples, which has also been documented, means it has also been written there. Then these works were also led to the recovery of traces of road, paths, bazaars, etc. Of which area? Vijayanagar. All these have been located through finds of pillars, bases and platforms. At one time they were thriving markets, but now just remains are left. Yet wooden structures are destroyed and just the stone structures have survived, but still travelers helped us to reconstruct the vibrant life of this time. Okay, so this is all about the way they have divided it and plotted the palaces, temples and bazaars, and for which we have to really thank these people for their hard work. Questions in search of answers. So for this topic, a question can be made from your side, that is, you can pick up any sentence and you have to write explain. So remember, this part is basically of those questions which are not yet answered. So we have to know like why these are important and what are the questions that still remain to be answered. Okay, so let's see what is this topic all about. Now from the ruins of the temples and buildings that is found in Vijayanagar, we came to know that it gives us much information about the defense requirements and military preparedness of the city. They also convey the ideas which the builders and their patrons like to project. Now many people who want to construct different type of buildings or different type of structure, they get some ideas from Vijayanagar. We can also get some information about Vijayanagar from other sources of that time, like literature, inscriptions and popular traditions. But there are many questions which are yet to be answered, so which are still some kind of doubts are still there in the mind of many people, in the heart of many people. We do not know how much the ordinary man, women and children, which formed a vast majority of the people who lived in the city and in its suburbs, thought about the magnificent buildings. We all talk about the kings, the rayas, but in the inscription nothing about the ordinary people was talked. Had they any access to any of these areas with the king's enclosure? So these are the questions. Like there are so many things like we have talked about. There are Mahanama Dibba, then we got the sacred center or sacred zones, then we have got lotus temple and all. The question is that where the ordinary people can go to these places where king used to move around, or king's enclosure. We also don't know what did the people who contributed to the construction of the big projects think about them. So whatever people or whoever people lived in this time, they had a different type of life. So we don't know what do they think about this. We don't know like whether they are happy about the construction, whether they are being paid well for the construction, whether they are really they really appreciate the buildings or not. We don't know about their life. That are the questions that remain still to be answered. The Vijayanagar rulers took decisions about the sites of buildings to be constructed, then the materials to be used and the styles to be followed. Everything was decided by them. Then but we don't know who possessed specialized knowledge required for such big enterprises, who drew the plans for the buildings, and who were the masons, stone cutters and sculptors, who did the actual building work. We have no idea about them. What kind of wages were given to them, how was the building material transported, and from where did it come from? These are all the questions which remain unanswered till we secure some more information by continuing our research. So that is all about this topic, right? So with this I came to the end of the chapter. If once again, as I'm telling you, if you have any doubts, if you have any type of question regarding this chapter, please do not hesitate to write or comment so that I can answer this in any way, either through notes or either through videos, right? So thank you for your time, and then till then, stay safe and see you in the next video. Bye bye.